Oh, well, Heidi ho. We had another beautiful day here in near Shenandoah National Park in Virginia. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely beautiful area out here. So this has been great. This has been great. I have to say, when I was a smartass like a month and a half ago, this is what I was talking about, boys and girls. This is what I was talking about. Because I've been down here, so I've actually been here almost a week now. So I'm taping this on Sunday. So tomorrow, Monday, will be our last day of hiking. We'll go out and do another 10-mile hike. And then we will be going off to the Smoky Mountains. So, I've been talking with my wife about the whole thing, about truly just being in the travel trailer and living in the travel trailer for a long time. We've been talking about selling the house and all that kind of stuff more. And one of the interesting things now is since we did that big trip last year, it's one of those things being like a younger person, younger adult or whatever. You have all these ideas about all these amazing places in the world that you want to see. And so it's really easy to ignore all the places that are close to you, right? So I want to go out, I want to see Rocky Mountain National Park, I want to see Glacier National Park, I want to see Yellowstone and Grand Canyon and all those kind of places, right? And that's where the priority was. That was where the priority was. So over here on the East Coast and other smaller places, like we would come and we'd stay for a couple of days. We'd stay for a couple of days and do one or two hikes and then move, right? And get on going because the real cool places were out west. So what's kind of cool now is since we've seen most of the really cool parks, I don't feel like the need to run around as much as before. And so we can really enjoy some of these places that we would not have thought about before. And what we're finding is there's actually a lot of stuff to do in these places. So like Shenandoah National Park, like this is 2 hours from home in Baltimore. And I've been here before. I've been on Skyline Drive. I've done a couple of hikes, but really hadn't thought much about it. But now we've been here for almost a week, and my wife and I really think, like with this national park, we could be here for like a month and be very happy with it. It's very beautiful, just gorgeous views, gorgeous hikes, just in a great environment. I mean, if you look around like this RV park, this is RV park. This is what I wake up to in the morning. This is just awesome, right? This is just awesome. And so I think that's one of the things we're learning is now that we've seen that really cool stuff, we've run around, we've seen all the really cool things you have to see, but now we can spend more time just looking at all of these other places. And so the idea of spending a month in a lot of these places, really, and again, it's not like a month lazy. It's not like, oh, well, we can spend a month and then we can only do like 2 hikes a week or something. But like we could go out and we could do a good hike every day or every other day. And again, be here for a month. Because again, you think about it like a month. So when you do a big hike, like here in Shenandoah, yesterday we did a 13-mile hike. Well, you have to understand here with the mountains, it's 13 miles in the mountains isn't 13 miles flat, right? There's a phrase I liked from when we were hiking in the Grand Canyon. And the Grand Canyon, as they used to say, down is up, or no, down is up. Down is optional, up is not, right? And so here the interesting thing is normally like on the East Coast, when you hike mountains, you normally start at the bottom of the mountain and then go up. The nice part being is the hard part is going up and the easy part's going down. So your first half is hard and your second half is easy. Here, the thing is in the Shenandoah National Parks, all the trails go off of Skyline Drive, and so Skyline Drive basically goes along the ridge of the mountains. So it's kind of like that whole Grand Canyon thing where, down is optional, up is not. So it's like, 12, 13 miles of hiking here can be pretty hard on the muscles. So you think about it, even someplace here. So if you figured we do 20 good hikes in a month, right? That's really not too much, especially in a decent-sized national park. So even here, I'm not sure we'd spend a month in this particular RV park, but we were talking about it. We could definitely spend like 2 weeks here, and then basically, because like Shenandoah National Park's actually divided into 3 sections. It's like north, central, south, something like that. And so we could spend like 2 weeks in the north section, and 2 weeks in the central section, and 2 weeks. So we could spend like a month and a half just in this one national park. So that's one of the things like I'm enjoying about this trip. Because again, like I say, the Laurel Highlands, Pennsylvania, I never really thought much about Pennsylvania. Truly, And that's why I try to be honest with you folks. That's why I try to be honest with you folks. Is a lot of people like, oh, you're so negative. But that's why I try to say, like, I'm honest. Like, I was so negative on Pennsylvania. I was so negative on Pennsylvania. The thought of going hiking or whatever in Pennsylvania, I was just like, you know what I'm saying? Ooh. Let's go hiking in Pennsylvania, right? But now, actually, after spending a week in Laurel Islands, I'm like, wow, I could definitely spend a month or more in Pennsylvania, in different parts of Pennsylvania too. Pennsylvania is just a large place. So that's one of the enjoyable things about doing this particular trip is, you know, we get to go out now, we get to be a little more relaxed with the things that we're doing, and very excited, very excited. Like I said, my wife and I are talking more and more about selling the house. I know a lot of young people out there like, Eli, just sell the house. But again, there's more to selling the house than just selling the house, because there's just, especially if you go into an RV, there's like all this weird stuff with like taxes you don't think about until you have to think about it. But like with capital gain, so if we sell that house for a profit, which may happen, like you have this extra money, and the issue is like with how the tax system works, if you take that money and you immediately buy another primary residence, as I recall, we have to talk to the accountant on it, then you don't have to pay capital gains tax. So you don't have to pay basically profit tax on the money you made. But the issue is if we sell our house and we make that profit, but then we're in a travel trailer, then you get hit with a pretty decent tax on any profit you made. So there's things like that you don't really think about, like when you're going to move into a travel trailer. Because there's all this stuff, like I say, this is one of the problems that I see with modern American society, is modern American society is so set up, if you do what everybody else does, if you are a good heterosexual couple that wants 2 kids and a white picket fence in the suburbs, the system is set up for you. That is literally what the government has built the system for. If you are not that, the system just isn't built for you. So that's one of the things that we're trying to figure out as we become non-system folks. But you know, there's things like that, and then like there's other stuff like just, you know, we've got a house full of furniture, and so we've been talking about it. You know, what furniture do you keep? What furniture do you give away? Do you throw it all into storage? Because I mean, you think about it, oh well, you can just throw it all into storage. But in the Maryland area, storage isn't cheap. Storage is actually pretty damn pricey. So you know, you don't want to spend, because you know, you can get a rental space for $100 a month, or you can get a rental space for like $200 a month. Well, the thing is, if we go traveling for 2 years, the difference of $100 a month is $1,200 a year, which for 2 years would be $2,400. And so that's what you got to think about. It's like, well, if we get a small space with just these things, then it'll cost us this amount of money. If we get a larger space where we can fit everything, then it's going to cost us an additional $2,400. And then if you're thinking, oh, additional $2,400, you know, maybe it would literally be cheaper just to get rid of stuff and then buy it new. There's all that kind of stuff. Oh, all that kind of stuff to work out. But we're thinking about it more and more. Because like I said, I just love this. I think the only thing I would really miss from our house is the fish. That's sad. Because you do look at the fish as like pets. Well, they are pets. But you do actually get attached to those little koi. Ferdinand and Chloe and Dyson and all the other ones in there. Got like 15 different koi. I think the koi are what I would really miss from that house. But koi aren't corgis. You know what I'm saying? Can't bring 15 koi into a travel trailer. So, but we're getting closer to that. We've got to figure some things out. We'll be definitely selling our row house in the city this year. Once the lease is up on that. And like I say, there's all this kind of, and that's what's hard to explain to a lot of people. I say a lot of young people, like 18-year-olds, is again, there's this idea that, well, why don't you just do X, Y, or Z? And then there's a shocking amount that's involved in the system. Like I say, there's tax ramifications, and there's this, and there's that, and there's the other thing. It's like, trying to figure all that kind of stuff out. Because again, I mean, even like, you know, living in a travel trailer, like you don't really think about this. But the fact of the matter is, you have to have a state of residence, right? You can't be simply a resident of the United States. You have to have a state of residence for tax reasons, for license plate reasons, for driver's license reasons, for all of these things. And you don't think about like how ridiculous that is until you realize that you might be living a life where you don't care about the residence. Again, if you live a month in different places, then you don't really care where your residence is. But the government cares where your residence is. So you got to figure all that kind of stuff out. Though I think for us, we're going to be tax refugees. Most likely once we sell the house and all that, if we're traveling around. There's different services where you kind of like buy permanent residence. It's kind of weird. It's like these mail forwarding services for people in RVs, but they also give you like a permanent residence. And so there's ones in South Dakota and ones in Texas, and we'll probably go with the ones in Florida because my wife likes Florida anyway, so we can just set up permanent residence there. But basically, you just pay them a $30 monthly fee. They take all of your mail for you, but then they also help you with things like government paperwork. So, you know, you can get your Florida license plates and your Florida, all that kind of stuff. And why Florida looks good, and why this can be a good thing, is because Florida doesn't have any income tax. So we have enough income tax. Income tax is pricey. What, like 8% or something in Maryland? 8%. On top of your property tax, on top of your sales tax, on top of all these other taxes. And so what we're looking at is if we changed our state of residence to Florida, you have no income tax. So we actually save a lot of money on income tax. And then two, but you do pay property tax. Again, like with all these states, if you don't pay one place, you pay another. But the interesting thing is you do pay property tax. But as I understand it, we'll have to talk to our accountant. Basically, if we don't own a house, we don't own all this other stuff, we would just pay property tax on our truck and our travel trailer. Which shouldn't be too bad. Sure as hell ain't going to be 8%. You know what I'm saying? So those are the things going on in our life. I was very happy today. I uploaded the first video properly with the new workflow. So I am uploading videos now while we're on the road. So this particular RV park, about the two things that I can complain about this RV park are it doesn't have laundry facilities and it doesn't have any internet. It's not just bad internet, it doesn't have any internet. So while I've been here, I've been having to figure out what to do if I'm in a place with no internet. So what I've decided to do is I bought this piece of software for the Mac called Compressor. It costs you about $49, but it allows you to re-encode video any way you want. And so my 1080p 60 frame per second videos are 12 gigs per hour. And so what I was able to do is I was able to use one of their settings in there to turn that down to 500 megs. So it's like 640 by 480, so basically 480p video file. But it takes it down from 12 gigs to 500 megs. The issue was the first time I did it, if you guys decide to use Compressor, you guys, girls, Z's, and lady boys decide to use Compressor, is if you were using the presets, they have this one for you know, iPads, iPhones, all that kind of stuff, and I use a standard definition there. But for some reason, I don't understand why, it automatically adds margins. So in the default one, it adds margins. It actually adds letterboxing in, which is weird because when you open it in QuickTime, you don't see that letterboxing. You only see it when you actually upload it to YouTube. So I didn't notice that. So the first time I uploaded to YouTube, the first video, that's why it's all like small. So I uploaded the one for tomorrow that'll go up tomorrow, and that should be normal size. So with that, I'm very happy because that means I can upload basically in real time, and that'll be a good thing. I did have somebody ask why I don't send the video files to somebody so that they can upload. And I actually do have an agreement with somebody so that I could do that. The issue is, again, you got to think about workflows and how that works out. So if I sent full 12 gig video files to somebody, the thing is I would have to have enough of those together to actually make it worthwhile to send and have the person deal with it, right? Because, you know, 12 gigs, so I'd have to send like at least a week's worth. So that's 5 videos at 12 gigs, that comes to 60 gigs videos, so I'd have to like send a hard drive. And so the thing is, like with backlog and all that kind of stuff, that would mean I would have to tape 5 days of video. I would then have to send that hard drive to somebody to do it. I already have an agreement. I then have to pay for them to do it, because again, you don't do anything for free, so I'd have to pay for it. Then they would have to do it, and then it's a hard drive, and hard drives, They're not horribly expensive, but I don't want them to be disposable. So that's got to be sent back to me. So you've got this whole long thing going on. And just looking at it, I don't think the 1080 60 frames per second is the type of thing where it's worth that. Again, like I say, with workflows and all that kind of stuff, it's all the trade-off. It's all the trade-off. And a lot of people don't understand that about business and everything else. It's all a trade-off. You can do what's the cost of doing it, what's actually valuable, so on and so forth. So whenever I can do 1080p 60 frames per second, I'm definitely going to do it, as I've been doing it in the past. But I don't think it's worth the delay in uploading the videos. I don't think it's worth the cost. I don't think it's worth the aggravation. Overall, most people generally say that they use these videos as just background noise, basically as a podcast anyway. So I like doing the Let's Lives wandering around, because I think that is a unique thing that I can add to the YouTube landscape. And I do think it's good for you folks to see all of these different places in the country. Because I've actually had like some Europeans and some foreigners literally say they didn't realize the US was so green. Right? Because I guess all the videos that they've ever seen are from like the West, and out West, it's a lot more, Texas and all that kind of stuff. So I like having that video, but I don't think that's the primary thing. I like doing these more in real time. And the other thing with doing these things in real time too, or near real time, is like this whole guru thing seems to be working out for me. Again, people like to come, people like to talk to me, they like to bounce ideas and all that kind of stuff. And so the more real time this is, the more comfortable people will be like saying, oh, I see you are in my neck of the woods for the next 2 weeks. Hey, can I come and talk to you about the issues I'm running into and seeing what your advice is, right? So if this is like 1 or 2 weeks backlogged, as I was originally planning on, then by the time you see the video of me here, I'm already off to the next place. If this is more or less real time, I probably do want a backlog of 1 or 2 days of video, just because sometimes I get tired. You go off and do a 12 or 15 mile hike, don't necessarily want to come home and do like an hour-long video that day. So I would like 1 or 2 days of fallback, just for that kind of thing. But I'd like to keep it to that. So, if you see that I'm in the Smoky Mountains, if I put out a video where I'm saying the Smoky Mountains, you go, oh, I didn't know he's coming to the Smoky Mountains, then you can email me and say, hey, I'd like to come by, drop by, right? Because people like that. Again, I did one meeting. I swear, like I say, some of these, again, I'm not saying I would do it. I'm not saying I would. But again, people like to come to see me. Like again, as I say, in the Laurel Highlands, I had somebody drive 5 hours one way from Delaware to meet me. I've had people, like when I was up in the Adirondacks last year, I had a person drive 4 hours, stay a night in a hotel, so he can meet me at 9 o'clock in the morning. And the Adirondack is a beautiful, gorgeous place, right? So we sit there, we have our little hour and a half talk or whatever. He gets done. I'm like, great. So what are you gonna do? You gonna go see the mountains? You gonna do some hiking? And he's like, no, I'm gonna drive back. It's like, so you drove 4 hours one way, spent the night at the hotel just to meet me at 9 o'clock in the morning, and then you're going, yeah. So again, I don't know why. Believe me. Again, everybody's like, Eli, you're so egotistical and arrogant. I don't know why people are doing this. I have no I wouldn't do it. But people do. So, I'm having somebody come here tonight. So somebody's coming out tonight. We'll talk for however long. And then I have somebody coming out tomorrow night. We'll talk for however long. And then I have at least one person in Gatlinburg. Pigeon Forge. I just love the name Pigeon Forge. We forge our pigeons. Pigeons of steel. Anyways. So I have somebody coming out there. So that's where, like I said, I like the real-time thing a little bit more, because people can be like, oh, you're in my neck of the woods. And again, like I say, I like sitting down and talking to people, as long as you come with problems. That's what a lot of people don't understand. Again, I sit here talking into a camera for an hour. I'm not this way in real life. Again, I have friends of mine that are. I have friends that can talk to people the way I talk to this camera. You just sit down with a beer and like literally the only thing you have to say like the entire night is, where's more beer and where's the bathroom? Otherwise, they will have you laughing, they will tell you stories. You can just sit there for like 5 hours straight, and it'll be an amazing night as they just talk. I'm not one of those people. If you come to me with questions, if you have questions, you're like, Eli, these are the issues that I'm having, then I'm more than happy to discuss those issues. When I say randomly talking, not great on that. But again, for anybody who is not funding me on Patreon, these are the things that I do. These are the things that I do that I don't even ask money for, which I find funny because, like a lot of people give me a lot of crap, and it's like, how many YouTubers literally meet with like anybody and spend anywhere between 1 to 3 hours discussing their actual issues, and not even have a way to charge for it? That's the thing. Like with these meetings. This isn't one of those things where I say, oh, pay what you can. There's no payment option here. Like, I don't... Maybe on Eli, the computer guy, there's still a PayPal thing. I forget. But, like, literally, it's like, right? It's not like... It's just you come and you talk. And so that's when, like, I talk about Patreon and all that kind of stuff. People get a little snarky. And that's where I just want to, like, bitch smack some people. Because I'm like, who else on YouTube does this? Who else on YouTube does some of the things that I do? And don't even think about it. Don't even think about it, right? It's like, yeah, because people say that. They're like, oh, why do you do these meetings? What's the intrinsic business value? And I'll tell you why I do these meetings. Hand a spaghetti monster. Why I do these meetings, right? Because here's the deal. I have been successful in life. I've been successful in life both because I've busted my ass and I grind. I work, right? I work. But work, along with luck and along with other people being very helpful, is how you become successful. Again, this whole self-made anything is bullshit. Bullshit. Nobody is self-made. There ain't a human being on this planet that is self-made. Again, you do a lot of work. I'm not saying people always agree with you. I'm not saying people always support you. But you never do anything alone. You're always supported by somebody else. And so I've always known that. And so I'm one of those people that always try to give back. And the issue is I've tried to give back through nonprofits, doing work with nonprofits and volunteer organizations and that kind of stuff. And frankly, I feel like most of that work is wasted, to be honest with you. Basically, so many of the people with the nonprofit organizations and all that kind of thing, they build these ridiculous bureaucracies so that they can be important, and then you just shuffle papers. Like, I have spent so many hours, hundreds or thousands of hours with nonprofits, and I've just seen how worthless my work has been. Just, right? So volunteering for nonprofits, I basically think, is basically worthless. And then donating and giving money. I do it nowadays from time to time. Again, like I say, the Baltimore Robotics Center, I gave money to. Sometimes when there's big disasters, I'll give money to the Red Cross. But I actually worked with the Red Cross before, and I like how one of the reasons why I donate when there's specific disasters is Red Cross actually has a pretty good system where they don't try to do donations in kind. So like, if there is a disaster, they don't want shovels, they don't want trucks or bulldozers, they want cash. And one of the reasons, bottom of my heart, I believe in this, is because what they want to do is they want to be able to give the cash to the victims of the tragedy, so that they can then buy what they need from the local providers, right? So if you just give shovels, it seems like a good thing because you're giving people shovels. But then in a lot of ways, that can actually screw a lot of the local businesses, because now everybody got free shovels. If everybody's got free shovels, who's going to go to Ace and buy shovels, right? And so what they try to do is, instead of like giving free food and free water and all that kind of stuff, is they give cash. You then take that cash and then you buy from the local businesses. And so the idea is then that keeps everything running. Because again, that can be a really big problem during disaster situations. You don't think about it. Is you're trying to be all good and nice and all that kind of stuff, and you give water and you give food and you give this and you give that and you give the other thing. But in some of these disasters, people literally get so much that they stop buying from the local businesses. You're so kind and generous. You put the local businesses out of business, and then that just doesn't help anybody, right? So that's one of the reasons I give it Red Cross. But basically, like I say, except for here and there, I found that volunteering my time for organizations is a waste. It's just pathetic. I found giving my money for organizations is just a waste, and I've also dealt with other things that are just a waste. And so basically the way that I look at these meetings are basically just kind of like I say, it's a way to give back. Again, I mean, yes, there is tangential advertising benefit to it. Yes, there's tangential branding benefit to it. Not gonna lie on that, but that's not the primary purpose to it. Again, as I say, you should always be working, you should always be grinding, you should always find ways to give back. Again, a lot of people, I mean, you see so many people that are depressed and all that kind of stuff, and I mean, that's the whole thing is, you know, what are you giving to the world? You get all these people who are like, Eli, I feel worthless, and I don't feel like I have a place in this world, and I just feel like I am just a sack of flesh. It's like, okay, well, who did you help today? What do you mean? Okay, who did you help this week? What do you mean? Okay, fuck, who have you ever helped? It's like, then you are a sack of flesh, you know what I'm saying? And again, I'm not saying you gotta go out there and help tsunami survivors or anything like that, but, you know, help your own family, you know? Do you have family members that need extra babysitting services? You know, do you have family members that need to be tutored? Do you have family members that need their house cleaned up? Something like that. If you have spent a week, if you haven't done something for somebody else, right? I just don't think that's a good thing. But that's my little opinion there. So that's why I do these meetings. But like I say, for anybody that's thinking about giving to Patreon right now, that's one of the things that helps fund, to be honest with you. That's what I kind of like with this channel too. Like if I can get the Patreon money, because again, everybody has this idea like I'm all money. It's not that I'm all money. It's that you need money. Again, I don't understand how these people pay their mortgage. Eli, the world isn't about money. The world's about passion. It's like, yeah, but how do you pay your mortgage? That's the thing, like, I grasp the concept. I grasp what you're saying, but how do you pay your mortgage? How do you pay for health insurance? How do you pay for a car? How do you pay for a vacation? If your entire world is all about passion, and money doesn't become involved, right? How does that work out? So that's what I kind of like with this channel. This is if I can just ask for money on Patreon or get the sponsors or whatever else, then I can just kind of do what I'm doing and make money. That's all good. We'll see. So what I want to talk today about, I wanted to talk about today as the main topic is the idea of the Martyr Complex. The Martyr Complex. Because again, this is one of those huge things that really keeps people from being successful. And the worst part is, it's not even so bad that it's a bad thing that keeps people from being successful, but that people think it's a good thing. I think that's the worst thing in the world. It's I call them maladaptive behaviors. And basically what I mean by maladaptive behaviors is essentially people come up with these social behaviors. And one of the reasons they come up with them is because they think they're good and they think it'll make them successful in life. And instead, it just makes them annoying and just annoying, right? Again, as I talked about with the one guy, and again, I'm not trying to harp on this guy. He was just so like the quintessential maladaptive behavior. But the one guy who came for a Silicon Discourse meeting, and I swear to you, the entire time he's like talking to me, and he's doing this. Yeah, well, I got my college degree 2 years ago, and I got it, and I stopped him. I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? The first thing is, if you're going to talk to somebody, look them in the eyes. And he was like, what? Really? I was like, what do you mean? Yeah, really? Yeah, of course. He's like, oh, no, I thought it was better to not look them in the eyes. And I asked him, I was like, what? And he said, yeah, well, somehow I got into my head, like years ago, that people felt more comfortable if I didn't look them in the eyes. And again, I don't know. I've talked with a couple of people about this, and I guess in other countries that may be true. Like if you're in Africa, if you're in Mogadishu, maybe it's different. Here in America, you look me in the eye, boy. Look me in the eye. And if you don't look me in the eye, especially with this guy, you can be weird. So that's a problem with maladaptive behaviors. The worst part with maladaptive behaviors, like if somebody has a behavior that's not effective, That's pretty easy to deal with, because you can say, hey, that's not a good thing, stop doing that. And then they're probably like, oh, okay, I didn't know when they stopped. Maladaptive behaviors is where people actually think that what they're doing is right. What they think they're doing is correct. And then even when you try to correct them on it, they're like, no, man, this is the way you do it. No, you don't know what you're talking about. You're like, oh, all right. And so that's where I want to talk to you folks about this whole Martyr Complex thing, because it was interesting. Because basically, my wife and I were out doing some things yesterday, and I originally had one of these meetings scheduled for last night. So the meeting I'm having tonight was originally scheduled for last night. And basically, as things go, one of the issues when I schedule these meetings is a lot of people schedule like a week out. And again, I don't always know what the hell's going on. I don't even know what the hell's going on the next day a lot of times. And so when people schedule like a week out, things can change. Things can change. And so with the weather and some things changed. So what I had planned to do a different day, we had to do yesterday. And so we're off. We're doing our thing. And so I emailed the person we had planned to meet yesterday, and then I emailed him, said, oh, can't do it. I emailed him. So it was Saturday night. We're supposed to meet. So I emailed him Friday night. Said, look, sorry about this. Can't meet tomorrow. Can you meet on Sunday or Monday? So my wife and I are out doing our thing yesterday. And she was like, yeah, so did you reschedule with the person? And I said, well, I sent him an email and said if he wants to meet on Sunday or Monday, I'm more than happy, but I couldn't meet today. And it's funny because she looked at me and she was like, oh, so was he good with that? And I looked back at her and said, I don't know, but I am. She was like, what? Like, I'm good with it. I don't know what the hell he is, but I'm good with it. And this is a big thing, like a lot of people run into problems with. Because again, one of the reasons I do the Silicon Discourse, these in-person meetings the way that I do, is I don't charge any money, can't collect any money, right? And one of the reasons I do that is so that I can't run into problems, right? If I charge you $200, and again, I've had people donate afterwards, and people pay a lot of money. So, when I say that they're worth $200 plus per meeting, that's because people have given me money afterwards for it, right? But the reason I don't collect any money is because when you collect money, there's all of these, especially in the American world, there's all these expectations that are put on top of that. What am I getting out of my $200? And again, that's the thing with a lot of people is if I'm going to give you $200 or $300 or $50 or $25, what am I going to get out of that? It's a contractual obligation. And so one of the things doing the meetings the way that I do, one of the big things that I get out of it is I have no contractual obligation. I am somebody with 20 years experience in tech that is sitting down with you to have a conversation for absolutely free. So you know what? If you drive 5 hours and you don't get anything useful out of it, again, I'm going to say, oh, sorry, I wish I could help you. But I'm not going to worry about it past that. I'm not going to try to make it up to you. I'm not going to try to make sure we're all good. It's like, well, one, I'm not really sure why you drove 5 hours. But two, well, I gave you my best advice, right? But one of the problems that I see is a lot of people get themselves into all kinds of trouble. And they get in this whole martyr complex, right? Because what they decide to do is they decide that they're going to be useful. They decide that they're going to be helpful. They decide that they're going to do good things for this world. They're going to do good things for this world. Right? And then they wrap themselves up into it. And then what happens is something comes along, which is a better opportunity. Something comes along that is a better opportunity. But then they say, I would take that opportunity. I would go for that opportunity. But alas, I have already agreed to do X, Y, or Z, and therefore I can't take that opportunity, right? And they become a martyr. They are martyring themselves for their word or for their cause or for whatever else. I would do this thing that would make me happy. I would do this thing that would make me money. I would do this thing that would push my life ahead. But alas, I have promised myself for something else. And this is an absolutely horrible, nasty piece of crap, a form of maladaptive behavior. It's this whole martyr complex because people want to feel so special and so important and that the world can't live without them because they've agreed to do something, right? And this causes lots and lots and lots of problems, and people don't even realize it, right? So the big thing for me, like why I don't get this martyr complex, again, like I said with my wife, well, was he good for it? I'm like, I don't know, I am, right? Is here's the thing. whenever you sit down with me and we do one of these meetings, I am awake, I'm generally happy, and I generally give you 100% of my attention, right? I don't feel aggrieved to be doing this in any way, shape, or form. It is my way of giving back. I am happy to give back. And therefore, when you come, you get my 100%. And you don't get any passive-aggressive horse crap, right? You just get me. Which, not passive-aggressive. Might be a little aggressive. I'll give it to you. It might be aggressive, but it's not going to be passive-aggressive. When you're telling me you're getting your degree in cybersecurity, I'm going to tell you to your face what I think about that. Anyway, but you're not getting this weird passive-aggressive stuff, right? And so and the reason that I can do that is because I'm not giving up anything, right? Again, if I have an appointment with you folks and something comes up and I need to go do that, I'm not going to give up what I would prefer to do. I am not going to give up what is valuable to me. I'm not going to give up what I would enjoy more. I'm going to email you and say, sorry, I need to reschedule the appointment, right? But one of the problems you get with these people with the Martyr Complex, you don't know what I give up to do this, right? That's a problem. And so they go along and they promise to do something. They promise to cook for a bake sale, or they promise to lead a pack of Cub Scouts or Girl Scouts or Brownies or whatever the hell they are. They promise to do this, that, or the other thing, and then something comes up, and then they have to say no to that opportunity because they must continue with what they've agreed to. And the problem with this is that for a lot of these folks, they really don't want to do what they're doing. They don't really want to do what they're doing. They agreed to it, and now they're gonna do it because they said yes. And the issue that you run into is these are the people that become passive-aggressive bastards that nobody wants to deal with. Just complete and utter passive-aggressive assholes that are tedious, annoying, obnoxious, and where most people are like, is there any way we can get them to quit? You know these people. I gave my word I would be here, and that's why I'm here. And you're like, you can go home. Can you go home? You can go home. We don't need you, right? And that's the issue, is because what the people are doing is that they're saying, no, right? It's so important that I be here. It's so important that I gave my word. But then they feel like they're being downtrodden, that they're being taken advantage of, all of these kind of things. And they become absolute and utter schmucks. And it's really bad because, again, the problem is that these people think that they're doing a good thing. I'm standing by my word to do this. But then again, why I call it a maladaptive behavior is they start pissing off everybody around them so that it actually does more damage to them professionally and socially. Right? Because again, if you're dealing with somebody and they're acting like a passive-aggressive piece of crap, do you ever want to deal with them again? Either in business or socially, right? Because again, the big thing you have to understand with being successful in life, again, like I said, it's the Eckhart Tolle thing. I need to come up with my 10 rules. There's like 10 rules. Well, there's probably 9 rules because it's how my life goes. There's either 9 or 11 rules because with me it's never even. But anyways, and like the biggest rule is keeping the communication open. When people want to talk to you, when people want to seek you out and bounce ideas off or whatever, discuss things, that's when you're going to be successful. Because basically, what you really do in life, again, this is where I talk about the grind and why ideas and all that are basically worthless, right? There's 1,000 ideas out there. There's 1,000 different things that I could do in order to try to make money in life. But there's only a couple of things that I'd be willing to do 1,000 times. So again, sitting here and talking into a camera, I would have never expected for this to be something that I'd want to do. And through random happenstance, I have now found that talking into a camera is a good way to pay the bills, right? And so the thing that you have to understand is where you're going to be successful, how you're going to be successful in life, most likely, especially in this modern world, is in a way that you could never imagine. Again, I did the video and talking to my 20-year-old self, and again, for anybody who's 20 years old right now, literally, you have no idea how you will be successful. You will have no idea how you'll be successful because the world is going to change in ways that you could never expect. Again, when I was when I was in college, I mean, we still have 56K modems, right? I mean, I remember when the Palm Pilot was high technology. So the idea of mobile apps and all that kind of stuff, I mean, that just, right? I mean, I remember when Steve Jobs literally said he didn't want people developing native apps for the iPhone. And then now, building native apps is a multi-billion-dollar-a-year industry. So the first thing is you don't know how the world will change. Like from now, like the next 10 years, like people like me are saying like Internet of Things is the way to go. And I can almost guarantee you that's not going to be it. You're like, oh, well, what? I don't know. Like there's just going to be like something that comes the fuck out of left field. Like there's going to be a Mark Zuckerberg. There's going to be a Mark Zuckerberg of whatever the hell the generation is after the millennials. That's going to spend, a year of his life or her life building something, and they're going to come out with, and we're all going to be like, wow, how did we never have this before? Again, you think about like things that changed the world. Was it Sean Parker? Was Sean Parker the one that created Napster? And it really was. I remember watching his little biography thing like years ago. And Sean Parker back in the day knew nothing about technology and built the original iteration of Napster. He said he got a HTML for Dummies books and went into his college dorm room for a month and built it. He wasn't a comp sci guy or anything like that. He was just like, I want to be able to share music. And he figured it out, right? And so that's the thing. Like I say, in 10 or 15 or 20 years, you're not going to know. It's just going to be this random ass thing. And then two, as I say, that you're going to change. You are going to shift. Who I am now is not who I was when I was 20. Again, as I say about the public speaking and all that kind of stuff. As an Aspie, I was so shy talking in front of people. It was miserable until I realized that unless I got better talking in front of people, my life was going to be miserable. And so I had to get used to it. And so over the years, I've now become very good doing public speaking and all that kind of stuff. But who I am now is not who I was then. And so that's the thing. The world is going to shift in ways that you can't imagine. You literally can't imagine. You are going to shift in ways that you can't imagine. So here's the thing. If you're going out there and you're trying to figure out how you're going to be successful in life, and the world is shifting in ways that you can't imagine, you're going to be shifting in ways that you can't imagine, then the reality is you don't know what the opportunity that's going to make you successful is. Again, as I say, I mean, YouTube is only 11 years old. Right? I think now YouTube is only 11 years old. So again, when I was in college, YouTube didn't even exist. Again, even like with the monetization and all that kind of stuff, my old channel kind of grew up with the professionalization of YouTube. And so again, back in like 2009, YouTube was so bad. The reason I built my own servers and infrastructure for Everyman IT, my original concept, was because YouTube was so bad. And now it's so good. So the thing is you don't know how you're going to be successful, and so you don't know what opportunities to look for, which means you don't know who to talk to. Like to find the idea that's going to make you successful, do you talk to a professor to find it? Do you talk to industry leaders to find it? Do you talk to some weird person on a street corner, right? Because again, like a lot of people think like, oh, I'll go talk to people that are successful. And I realized how worthless that is when I went to a speech. So my buddy Ron does this thing called Executive Tech Breakfast. So he does tech breakfast, these show and tell tech meetups. And they started doing these executive tech breakfasts, so bringing people in to be successful. And I realized how worthless it was, actually. I supported him, and I was like, hey, this will be a great thing. And then we had this one person come in who was like a billionaire. And it was so weird to realize how worthless all the information he was giving us. Because he had created a big tech company that had gotten swallowed up by another tech company. He had a real payout. When he cashed out, it was real. It wasn't $100,000. Like I said, he was a billionaire. But the thing was, he was talking about all these things, and he was talking about like when he helped build this company back in like 2002. And again, 2002 was an entirely different world, and it was so amazing to be a tech professional listening to this guy talk about creating $1 billion company and realizing all the information he was telling me was basically utterly worthless. All the information. This is a billionaire telling you how he became a billionaire, and he had some good little topics, little points in there, but the broad swath of it was worthless because the world had moved on. It was a decade later. So all the ways that he had become successful. But that's the thing, is so how you're going to be successful is from people talking with you, bouncing ideas off of you, asking for help, and just the most random people. So here's the thing. If you have this martyr complex and you're doing things because you have to do things, and while you're doing them, you are a passive, aggressive asshole that nobody wants to deal with. Again, as I say, the danger is not only do you damage yourself in that situation, so that's what people, oh, I'm doing this, right? Not only do you damage yourself in that situation, but then everybody you deal with while you're having that martyr complex considers you a passive-aggressive asshole, and they never want to deal with you again. And so you go out in the world and you help with the bake sale. And again, when you go to the bake sale, you know, everybody has kids. Secretaries have kids, warehouse workers have kids, CEOs have kids, CFOs have kids, CIOs have kids, right? So you go to that bake sale and you're acting like a passive-aggressive asshole. You know, the other parents aren't just secretaries and warehouse workers. They're also CEOs and business owners and organization leaders. And everybody agrees you're a passive-aggressive asshole, right? You go and you volunteer for something on the PTA, and then you do it because you said you were going to do it. And then everybody, the warehouse worker and the CEO, realizes you're a passive-aggressive asshole. You know, you go out there, you do these things. Again, you go and you help your friend do something. You know, you tell your friend you're going to help them move. And instead of coming, being bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and maybe bringing some coffee and some donuts while you're helping them move, oh, well, I guess we're going to have to help you move today. And then your friend thinks you're a passive-aggressive asshole. And so when something else interesting happens, do they want to be doing it with a passive-aggressive asshole? And so you go down this little hole of basically you tell people you're going to do something. And you tell them that because you feel like you have to, because it's the right thing to do, no matter whether or not you want to do it. Or you tell them you're going to do it and something else comes up. And then you go there, and like I say, you act like a passive-aggressive asshole. And then everybody realizes, oh, well, yeah, you don't want to deal with that person. You don't want to deal with that because they're a passive-aggressive asshole, right? So that's a problem that happens with the martyr complex. And the worst part is that you find with the martyr complex, and this is one of the worst part we find with most of these people that have the martyr complex, is most people would be fine if you said no. Like a lot of people are like, oh, I had to say yes to this. I was asked, and therefore I had to say yes. But again, that's ego talking. Again, like I say, my 9 rules, my 11 rules. Again, the ego. Fucking shut down the ego a little bit. The reason you felt you had to say yes is because somehow you were better than the other dozen people that they could have asked. Oh, well, I could have said no. But Marcia. Marcia would have been the next one, and she would have said yes, and then she would have screwed everything up. No, Marcia would have done fine. Maybe Marcia wouldn't have been perfect. Maybe Marcia would do things different than you. Maybe everybody would agree that maybe next year Marcia shouldn't do it again. But Marcia would have done fine enough. It's your ego that states that you're the one that has to do it, right? Because there's the thing, well, I could have let somebody else do it, but then it would have been done wrong. It's like, fuck off. Who are you to say it would have been done wrong? If they could have gone and asked somebody else, and the job more or less could have gotten done, then it would have gotten done, right? It's the ego speaking that you had to do it in order to make sure it was done right. So that's the first thing. The next thing is again this idea that, oh, I had to say yes, because again, who else would have done it? And again, what you find out in life is life has a way. Things have a way, right? If something is worth doing, if something is valuable to be done, then if you say no, they will find another way to get it done. They will find another way to get it accomplished, right? Because a lot of people say that, well, if I didn't say yes, then nobody would have stepped up and then it wouldn't have happened. And here's a couple of things here, right? If nobody else would have stood up to make sure that we got it accomplished, maybe that's telling you it's not valuable enough for anybody else to stand up. So again, that's one of the horrible things with the Martyr Complex. Oh, right, turn into passive-aggressive assholes doing something that nobody else wants done. Right? Because that's the thing. It's like, oh, I had to do this because if I didn't do it, nobody else would. And then you get a whole bunch of people going, does that person realize like nobody else gave a damn? Like, nobody else cared. Right? But again, so you're going out there and you're, and nobody else cared. So nobody else can, and that's the worst. Again, maladaptive behavior. So you're doing something, and you're doing it because if you don't do it, it wouldn't have gotten done. Nobody else cares if it got done. All they know coming out of it is, one, nobody cared if it got done, and two, you're a passive-aggressive asshole. Okay? So one, you think, oh, I'm better. I have to do it because I'm the best, which means you're an egotistical, passive-aggressive asshole. And the next one is, oh, I had to do it or it wouldn't have gotten done. Which, again, you're an egotistical, passive-aggressive asshole, right? And so these are the kinds of things that you need to be thinking about whenever you're going to be volunteering for things. Or, that was the third thing. That's since I don't have any jump cuts, sometimes I forget about things. Or the third thing is that people can be more flexible than you realize, right? So I run into that a lot, like I say, because I get into a little bit of arguments with my wife every once in a while about this type of thing, where I'll reschedule something. And I'll be like, oh, how can you reschedule? And one of the things you'll find, too, is that a lot of people actually don't care that much, or it's not that big a deal to them. Again, as I say, I emailed this person and said, hey, I need to reschedule. My wife is like, oh, how do they deal with it? Or how do they feel? And it's like, I felt good about it, right? And they rescheduled, right? That's one of the things a lot of people run into too, is again, something comes up, all right? Let's say you're going to help your friend fix a car, or you're going to help your friend build IKEA furniture, right? And then this really cute girl starts flirting with you and wants to have a date. You know, what a lot of people do is instead of having the date with a really cute girl, they go to their friends, build the IKEA furniture, acting like passive-aggressive assholes. Because really, I don't want to be sitting here with my best friend, or my friend or whatever else, building IKEA furniture. I really want to be trying to get laid. Whereas, if you just called up your friend, or you called up the person and said, hey, you know how I said I was going to help you with IKEA furniture today? Well, guess what? I'm going to try to get laid instead, so why don't I help you with the IKEA furniture tomorrow? And most of the time, people will be like, yeah, sure, whatever, that's fine, right? And what you find in life is that a lot of people are a hell of a lot more flexible than you give them credit for. Like, there's this idea that people have in their heads that, like, if you come to me and you ask me if I can do something on Saturday, a lot of people get in their heads, I have to say yes or no based on Saturday. Like, hey, Saturday night, I need some help building IKEA furniture. They're like, oh, I wish this person could have asked me about Sunday. If they asked me about Sunday, I wouldn't care at all. But they asked me for Saturday. And I'm trying to get laid on Saturday. But it's my friend, so I should. So I'll be a martyr. I won't get laid. I will help you build IKEA furniture. What a lot of people don't realize is one of the things you find out when you actually try to get things accomplished in the world is giving open-ended questions is a way for people to look at you very stupidly, right? So if I say, hey, can you help me build IKEA furniture? I'm not going to get a good answer. Like, at some point, can you help me build IKEA furniture? I'm not going to get a good answer. Because if somebody says yes, but then some point, who the hell knows what some point is, right? So what you find in life, if you're actually trying to get something accomplished, if you can actually give the person a day or a time and actually schedule an appointment, it makes life a lot easier. So if I say, hey, can you help me build IKEA furniture on Saturday night? I am not saying the only night I have available to build IKEA furniture is Saturday night. I am not saying I have to have this IKEA furniture built on Saturday night. What I'm saying is I need help building the IKEA furniture. To me, Saturday night seems like the easiest night to give a time. So on Saturday night, right? And so if you came back to me and said, I can't do it Saturday, I'm trying to get laid. How about Sunday? Or, ooh, it might go really well. How about Monday night, right? If you came back and said, hey, no, I can't do it Saturday, but can we do it on Monday? And I would say, yeah, sure, whatever. Yeah, no problem. I'm so appreciative, right? And then you come over and you're happy to help. I'm happy you're helping, you know? And then I know, hey, this person is somebody that really helps out and I enjoy being around this person. So when I get tickets to the football game, I am definitely going to give this person one of those, right? But a lot of people have this idea that if you ask me to do this on Saturday night, it means Saturday night is the only time it can be done. And therefore, I will give up everything else because you need me on Saturday night. And then again, I'm just like dum-da-dum-da-dum. Hey, can I get some help on Saturday night? Sure, I can help you on Saturday night. And then you come and you're helping, and the entire time you're a passive-aggressive asshole because you want to go be getting laid. And then at the end of it, you know, going into it, I've been thinking, well, the person helps me out. You know, I think I'm going to be getting some football tickets. I'd love to take this guy out or whatever to the football game. Well, then I spend a night you helping me build IKEA furniture, and it comes to that really weird time where it's like you're appreciative because this person helped you build IKEA furniture. On the other hand, they've been passive-aggressive assholes the entire time. So you don't really ever want to see them again either. Right? The last thing in the world you want to do is take them to a football game. Because what you were thinking, like, hey, I really like this person. Hey, they helped me out. I would love to thank them by taking them to a football game. And then again, you spend 3 hours with them being passive-aggressive assholes. They help you. And you're like, the last thing in the world I want is this person with me at a football game, right? And that's the issue that you run into a lot. So that's what I want you folks to be thinking about with this whole idea with the Martyr Complex. Is just stop. Just stop. If there is any ounce of you that believes you're being a martyr, has that feeling of martyrdom in you, just stop. Just don't do it. Nobody likes a martyr. Nobody likes a martyr. Because that's the worst thing, is you have these people, this martyr, oh, you don't understand, I had to do it. And you're like, you just pissed everybody off. You gave up an opportunity to do something that you wanted to do that would have made you happy, and you pissed off people all at the same time. How is that good? That doesn't work at all right? So just think about that. Just think about that. Because again, like I said, I just see so many people to do that. Say they'll volunteer to do things. And that's the thing, like I say, for me. Like, the reason that, again, like I say, that I can do these meetings, the reason that I can give myself so freely is because I'm not worried about it. I'm not stressed about it, right? If I had to worry, if I personally put the burden on my shoulders that stated, if I made an appointment for one of these meetings, I had to do it, guess what would happen? Point blank, I would do a hell of a lot less meetings. Because if I put it on my shoulders that if I said yes to a meeting, I absolutely, come hell or high water, I absolutely and utterly had to do it, then I would only ever take the meetings that I absolutely knew that I was going to take, which means I would reduce them substantially. Now the thing is, like I say, right now, I very rarely reschedule meetings, right? Out of all the times I've done like 50 or whatever, these Silicon Discourse meetings at this point, maybe I've rescheduled like 2 or something. Yeah, maybe 2 or 3. So think about that. So if I was going to put this martyr complex on myself, that means I would probably reduce the number of meetings I've done by half, right? Because I couldn't reschedule. Which means, 25 meetings wouldn't have happened. Versus not putting that crap on my shoulders. Every once in a while I do reschedule. That means 2 or 3 got rescheduled. And that's the reality. And that's, again, like I say, the benefit of the world. What's worse for the world? Not doing 25 one-on-one meetings, or 2 or 3 times rescheduling or canceling. Right? And that is the thing to think about. And again, when you come to see me, if you come to see me, again, you will not get passive-aggressive. You may get aggressive. But it's gonna be there in your face. If I'm gonna laugh at you, I'm gonna laugh at you. My wife will be in the travel trailer cringing. You're like, I can't believe you said that to that person. He said it was his life's long dream to do something, and you laughed at him. Like, well, it's my opinion. They came for my opinion. I gave them my opinion. What am I supposed to say? Oh, but anyways, this person is going to be coming in another 40 minutes, and so we are at about the 60-minute mark on this thing, so I should probably go in, grab some water, maybe a little bit of food and all that kind of stuff. But that's it for another day. So I'm very happy. I think we've got the workflow down now. Like I said, I take these videos. If I can upload them in high quality, high def, I will. If not, I reduce them down to about 500 megs in size and upload them using my fancy dancy iPhone. And we're going to go from there. Because I think that's going to be a good workflow. Again, like I say, I think that's a good, solid workflow. Because that's the thing, like I say, with workflows and all that kind of stuff, with like sending the videos out to somebody else, is again, whatever workflow, that's a big thing to understand with whatever your business is or whatever you're doing, is your workflow is the most important thing. Your workflow is the foundation to your business. It's the foundation to your business, the foundation for everything else, right? And so encoding these to 500 megs and uploading them using this, I know I can basically do this anywhere in the country with zero issue, right? So even when we were out in like the Grand Canyon, or even when we were out in Yellowstone or whatever, even if I didn't get cell signal at the campsite, I could still drive 20 minutes away, basically. Can you hear me now, right? Until I did get signal, and then I can tether my laptop and then just upload it, right? Might take like an hour, but this has more than an hour battery life, and the MacBook Pro has more than an hour battery life, so I can literally just put it on and read a book while it uploads. So I know that workflow is absolutely and utterly solid. Whereas, like I say, if I'm going to send this to another person, even if I trust the other person, again, well, then it's going to be at least 5 days, and then it gets sent, and then what happens if it gets lost in the mail? What happens if the hard drive I sent gets broken along the way? Gets shaken, especially if I'm sending hard drives back and forth multiple times. There's all of this complexity that gets added, and again, anytime you add complexity that you can't control for, then you start running into issues. So the reason that I'm going to be doing this is then this becomes a solid product that everybody understands what's going on. Everybody knows that more or less every Monday through Friday at 6 a.m. a new video will be published. And then they can go, right? And that's a big thing, like I say, for any kind of brand or any kind of business that you're going to do. The big thing is consistency. Again, everybody thinks it's quality. Everybody's like, quality. It's actually consistency. The more consistent you are, the better. As I say, like why I drink Starbucks coffee, right? So I drink Starbucks coffee. I did not used to like Starbucks coffee. I used to dislike Starbucks coffee, to be honest with you. But back when I was traveling around as the IT support specialist, doing all that kind of stuff, what I found was I would go to all these different places, and I was working my ass off, working way too much, and I go to buy a cup of coffee, and sometimes the coffee was really good. But a lot of times the coffee was horrible. The coffee was just piss, just sticks and twigs and crap, right? And so I started drinking Starbucks, not because I preferred Starbucks, but that when I got Starbucks, I always knew what I was getting. I always know when I get Starbucks, I'm gonna get 20 ounces of bitter caffeine. And you know what? The caffeine's what's important. So I'll learn to drink the bitter. And now, over the years, I now honestly prefer Starbucks. But it wasn't that way in the beginning. And so that's one of the things, like with business, is you got to do the consistency. So again, a lot of folks would be like, no, Eli, what about the high definition videos? And again, I'd like to when I can put out the high definition videos, I would prefer that. But what's more important is the consistency. Every Monday through Friday, 6 a.m., a new video gets published. You folks start watching it or start listening to it, just like I used to listen to NPR or whatever else. It just becomes such a habit that you're always doing it. And again, especially in the YouTube world, habit's a beautiful thing, because it's all about, again, we get paid CPM, cost per 1,000 impressions, right? So habit's a good thing. Having you folks get used to every day, you get your daily dose of Eli, right? Because that's the thing, like, if you don't know, if it's not a regular thing, well, that's it. Anyways, at this point I'm starting to ramble, and bandwidth is too expensive around here for me to be rambling. So with that, we'll call it a day, and I'll see you folks in the next video.